Hello everyone. Actual news and events that are happening around us today. Subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss the most important. President Volodymyr Zelensky has said 10 million Ukrainians are without power after a fresh wave of missile strikes by Russia. At least 7 people were killed in the strikes, with the number expected to rise. "We are doing everything to normalize the supply," Mr. Zelensky said in his nightly address. Ukraine's air defense managed to shoot down 6 cruise missiles and 5 drones, he added. On Thursday, Russia pounded Ukraine with a fresh missile barrage, hitting more energy installations and other civilian buildings less than 2 days after one of its heaviest bombardments yet. 7 people died when a missile hit their apartment block in Vilnyansk, near the southern city of Zaporizhzhia, the Ukrainian presidency said. A gas production plant in the east and a missile factory in Dnipro were among the latest targets, officials say. Those suffering power outages are mainly in the capital, Kyiv, the western city of Vinnytsia, the port city of Odessa in the southwest and Sumy in the northeast. Mr. Zelensky accused Russia of destroying his people's supplies of electricity and heat. The Ukrainian leader repeated his calls for Ukraine's partners to offer full protection of the Ukrainian sky, saying that to do so would encourage Russia to end the war. Moscow has looked to justify its recent strikes by accusing Kyiv of unwillingness to negotiate. One of Ukraine's largest cities, Dnipro, just north of Zaporizhzhia, was among those targeted early on Thursday. Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal said the Vilnyansk factory, which produces missiles, had come under attack. Another official said 23 people, including a teenager, had been injured after the city was shelled. The BBC was unable to confirm the latest civilian casualties independently. Just southwest of Zaporizhzhia, 70 shells were said to have landed around the city of Nikopol, leaving thousands of homes without power and water. Meanwhile, state-owned energy firm Naftogaz said its gas-producing facilities in the east of Ukraine had been subjected to a massive attack. Further strikes on infrastructure as well as civilian injuries were logged by officials in the southern Odessa region and Kharkiv in the north. The capital, Kyiv, was just one place where air raid sirens sounded. At about 8 o'clock local time, 6 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, mobile phones started pinging with official warnings of a new missile attack across Ukraine. Local air defenses swung into action and military authorities reported that 4 cruise missiles and 5 Iranian-made drones had been shot down. President Zelensky said Russia did not want peace, but instead was bringing his compatriots only as much pain and suffering as possible. Ukrainians are taking air raid alerts seriously after another wide-ranging assault on Tuesday. Dozens of long-range missiles pounded Ukraine that day, in what was believed to be the most intense barrage since the start of the war. Late on Tuesday evening, fears were raised of a dangerous escalation in the war when one rocket landed outside Ukraine, killing 2 people in a village in Poland near the shared border. Although President Zelensky was at first insistent that this had been fired by Russia, Kyiv's allies said it instead appeared to have come from Ukrainian air defenses. However, the head of the NATO military alliance, Jens Stoltenberg, said Moscow was ultimately to blame for starting the war in the first place. Many of the missiles fired by Russia on Tuesday were intercepted, but those that did manage to strike infrastructure targets managed to further deplete Ukraine's power reserves. This has been a recent Russian tactic following setbacks on the battlefield, and its impact is starting to be felt more acutely. Residents of Kyiv woke up to a blanket of snow on Thursday morning. Emergency power shutdowns have meant that many people do not have heating in their homes. America's top general has warned that Kyiv's chances in the short term of winning the war by taking back all Russian-occupied land are not high militarily. Mark Milley acknowledged, however, that there could be a political solution in which Russia made a decision to withdraw, saying the invading power was on its back. In recent days, there has been optimism on the Ukrainian side following the recapture of the southern city of Kherson. Reports have now emerged of civilians being tortured during the Russian occupation there. Russia has repeatedly denied committing atrocities during the conflict. In other developments, the Ukrainian government has set a deal that allows it to export grain by ships on the Black Sea has been extended for another 120 days. The agreement, brokered by the UN and Turkey, has allowed millions of tons of produce to be shipped out of Ukraine in recent months, easing worries about global food security. Before it was implemented in July, Russia had been blocking Ukraine's Black Sea ports. It confirmed on Thursday that the deal would be continued without changes. Mr. Zelensky said 11 million tons of food had been shipped through the ports since August, reaching Africa, the Middle East, South and Southeast Asia and Europe. Tens of millions of people, primarily in African countries, have been saved from starvation, he said of the deal.